Shalom. First and foremost, I'd like to give all praises to Yahweh, Bahashim, Yahweh Shai, Bahashim Ha, Rakakodash, Mama. Double honors to the apostles of Great Millstone and the elders. Double honors to my apostle and elder as well, Aharawan Banyasha Allah of the Lions Den Camp here in Jacksonville, Florida. And salutations to the fellow Akim, Atwafium, and Banyam children that believe in truth and sincerity as well, all right? It's your brother, I thank y'all. Back to another news update. The lesson, Yahweh Ratazah is edifying. Only got a couple of scriptures coming to mind, but just something that I had saw earlier this morning. As you can read, the title is uploaded by Dabu77. Okay. And it says, shots fired at Vice President J.D. Vance, Cincinnati home. The Secret Service arrested suspect, allegedly. All right. So we know the news on 47 and what he did in regards to Venezuela and so on and so forth. So it's a lot of propaganda right now. It's a lot of things that's being pushed here in this in this new fiscal year for Esau, Edom, and the heathen. All right, we all know that the true New Year's is around March, Abib. The month is called, and that's where it leads into the Passover, so on and so forth. All right, but just listen to this real quick. We'll get some scriptures and line things up, all right?
Warning of a serious security incident that has taken place at J.D. Vance's home in Ohio. They're saying that overnight, a shooting has happened where an individual decided to shoot into the home of J.D. Vance. They're saying luckily, no family members or him was home at the time, but Secret Service heard this. Individual rolled up and started firing these shots into the home. That's exactly what this article says. Overnight shooting incident. The Secret Service
the comments, it show a lot of everything, you know.
Ran up to the individual, found him trying to break into the home with a hammer, and they arrested him.
That was kind of funny.
They haven't given any name, any details, anything on this individual as of right now. We don't even know if they're going to hold him, much less all the charges. So we're still waiting on all that. But he also apparently, on his way down the street to the house, he did damage to a Secret Service vehicle. So he had to have been like staking out the area, knowing Secret Service was sitting there where they were, and obviously that this was Vance's home. But this whole block was locked down cold around the holidays. They warned all the neighbors. That would have to be a headache. But this is the situation. You can see the investigators looking at the gunshots on the left. And CNN just described this as an incident. They didn't say anything about what I just told you about the suspect, what he did, or anything like that.
All right, we know that where everything's going on in the circular news with Esau's propaganda, all right, you know, you can take everything with a grain of salt when it comes to truth. All right, you know, there's many layers and a lot of things behind the scenes, and this is why the Lord got to uproot this devil. All right. One thing that stood out to me about this particular individual is that a couple weeks ago, the idol, all right, of our people, Nicki Minaj, went viral from a sit down that she had with Charlie Kirk's wife, and they mentioned this guy. All right, so if somebody tried to unalive him, all right, there's a lot of things going on behind the scenes. All right, we understand, you know, the Alex Jones conspiracy type of ordeals, the Pizza Gates and stuff like that. You know, I'm not even know if we can say certain things on here. All right, but you know, your politicians, these people have dirt on them. That's why they get up and play. They can play the game that they play. All right. Hey, but the Lord is uncovering the skirts of this devil as he's been. All right. And we'll watch this video right quick as you can see the title.
Yes. See, dear young men, you have amazing role models like our handsome, dashing president. And you have amazing role models like the Assassin J.D. Vance, our vice president. And when I say that,
And again, it's just the propaganda, the fear-mongering of Esau, all right? That's why this place is called Babylon, all right? The city of confusion, Babylon, all right? Even here in modern day, they changed the old Rosetta Stone into something called Babel, all right? So this is what's going on. Again, the world is a stage, all right? You know, and they manipulate the people with his propaganda, his fear-mongering, right? His puppets, 2/3 of our people, the heathen, all right, is all set up to play out in the Lord's will ultimately, all right? Little do they know.
You have to laugh about it, truly. I have been called every single thing, and you know what? God is so good, you let it roll right off your back. And this is what's so beautiful about this moment, because if the internet wants to clip it, who cares? I love this woman. She's an amazing woman. She has a soul and a heart for the Lord. And words are words, but I know her heart, and it doesn't even matter. And you say what you want to say because I know your heart. And I will not judge.
Whatever that meant, all right? And you know, we got talks on them coming after the First Amendment. I believe that was a guy from Israel, all right? Wasn't Netanyahu, but he does something over there in Israel in the Middle East, and he was speaking on the First Amendment. It'll be another lesson in Yahweh Ratazah, Lord's willing. All right, but one of the scriptures I wanted to get first is going to be in the book of Matthew. Chapter 24 and verse 6. And this is the book of St. Matthew, chapter 24 and verse 6. And it reads, "And ye shall hear of wars and rumors of wars. See that ye be not troubled. For all these things must come to pass, but the end is not yet." All right. Now, how long America got, we don't know, but it ain't too much long. All right. It says the end is not yet. Why? Because there's few prophecies that have to come to pass. All right. Revelations 13 and verse 15 being one of them. All right. The main one. All right. Pretty much about the only one left. All right. It's them pushing that RFID, CHIP. All right. And mandating it. All right. Maybe making it constitutional. Wherever the case may be. But these are the things. These are the plethora of things, the conglomerate of things that's going to lead up to that. All right. The fear mongering, the propaganda that Esau is pushing out for him to have an excuse to stamp that mandate. All right. To herd the people in that herd sheep-like mentality. All right. Again, it starts off with the fear mongering. OK, so right now we hear wars and rumors of wars, and they steady trying to blind the people with BS, with psyops. You really don't know what's true and what's not. You got to take the meat off the bone. And that's why we got to dwell in the spirit of truth. All right. The wisdom, knowledge, and understanding of Yahweh Ba'ashim Yahweh Shai, so you can be able to measure the times diligently. All right. It's the book of 2nd Ezra, chapter Salakia. This is the book of 2nd Ezra, chapter 9 and verse 1. He answered me then and said, "Measure thou the time diligently in itself. And when thou seest part of the signs pass, which I have told thee before," right, "then shalt thou understand that it is the very same time wherein the highest will begin to visit the world which he made." All right. "Therefore, when there shall be seen earthquakes and uproars of the people in the world," and we see that going on. All right. You had the yellow vest protest that was going on for years over there in Paris. Even over here prior to the lockdowns and even after the lockdowns, the BLM, right? People say that was backed by George Soros, right? He uses his money to overthrow government, so on and so forth, man. It's an agenda that's being played out, all right? The moral of the story, all right? And the Lord told us to measure the times diligently within itself, so we know what to look for pertaining to prophecy, all right? As the spirit of the Lord is the spirit of prophecy, all right? So you can't get caught up in the fear mongering. All right. The propaganda of Esau. All right. That's another thing that I wanted to bring out. I had to ask Gemini. I wanted Gemini to look up through, which is AI, the propaganda. All right. The etymology for the term propaganda. All right. And we know that etymology goes more so in depth into the origin of the word. All right. Where it's derived from originally in the true definition. All right. Of the actual word. And it says the word propaganda has a fascinating history that began in a garden and ended in the halls of government. And if anything, that garden was the Garden of Eden, right? Again, that propaganda started with the serpent, all right? Beguiling Eve. It's the same thing, all right? Esau's propaganda, that is. Esau's message, all right, that he passes down. But this here, it says it's from the Latin roots, the gardener's term. The word is derived from the Latin verb propagare, which means to set forward, extend, spread, or increase. All right. The only thing that should be spread, increased, extended, and set forward is the Lord's word. All right. The Lord's wisdom, knowledge, and understanding his truth. All right. To where the people wouldn't have departed from it. All right. But the Lord's word, all right, the God of the Bible, Yahweh is his name, and his son's name, who the world ignorantly calls JC, his name is Yahweh Shai in the Paleo Hebrew, meaning he delivers. All right, he is for the so-called Negroes, Latinos, Native Americans, and Seminole Indians. All right, and those of the speckled bird who may look or even think they're of another nation, but their spirit bear witness to this truth. Their spirit bear witness to the curses that's spoken of in Deuteronomy chapter 28, verse 15 to 68. All right. Their spirit bear witness to this truth that the Lord was a so-called, he was an Israelite. All right. You know, color doesn't matter, but it's a distinction. Okay. And even then, it's sometimes not a distinction. All right. Again, the Lord heritage is of a speckled bird, pertaining to the book of Jeremiah, chapter 12 and verse 9, if I'm not mistaken. All right. But it says in classical Latin, it was actually a botanical term used to describe the practice of propagating plants by taking, cutting, or slips and planting them to create new growth. Right? That olive tree. Right? But you don't graft anything new into an olive tree. All right. You graft the olive tree back to the olive tree. Right. It's the same genetics, so to speak. All right. You know, just speaking of that olive tree that's spoken of in Romans, which represents the nation of Israel, which is the Lord's people. All right. So again, the Lord's people, they stirred away from this truth. All right. To where now the whole world is out of wax because the righteous is not in rulership. Okay, the scriptures say when the righteous bear rule, the people rejoice. But when the wicked bear rule, the people mourn. All right, roughly paraphrasing. But here in number 2, it says the Catholic influence. That stood out to me. All right, the Vatican. Right. In 1622. All right. Approximately, allegedly. It says the term transitioned from the garden to the world of ideas in the 17th century. In 1622, Pope Gregory XV established the Congregato de Propaganda Fide, the congregation of propagating the faith, spreading the faith of Catholicism, which is wickedness, which is untruth, right? It says the mission. This was a committee of cardinals tasked, cardinals, the crimson ones, all right, the red, tasked with overseeing foreign missions and spreading Catholicism in response to the Protestant Reformation, right? You know, spreading lies, hypocrisy, deceit, right? Cesare Borgia throughout the four corners of the earth. Again, because of the Lord's true people, the Israelites, you so-called Negroes, Latinos, Native Americans, and Seminole Indians, right? 2/3 of our people, those who listening and learning, they turned against the truth, all right? They casted the truth away from them, like they've done time and time again in ancient times. So the Lord turned his face away from them, all right? But we're in a time now to where the Lord has returned his face back unto us, man, by way of his son, Yahweh Shai, who the world ignorant calls Jesus Christ, man. And through him, John 17, we be engrafted with this word, man. You know, we're able to live again, all right? Come out of the valley of the shadow of death, right, which is America, but ultimately come out of that grave, all right? No longer spiritually dead, pertaining to Ezekiel 37, the valley of the dry bones. We're no longer dry bones, all right? We want nourishment, all right? We have the breath in us. We have the sinews, the muscles, right? We have the proper tissues and ligaments to continue on and to learn of the Lord's truth and to continue in it through the faith, right? So it goes on to the secular shift and, you know, just the word in general. So it was a good little quick read. But it all goes down to what rhetoric, whatever Esau is spreading and pushing. And we know his propaganda is wickedness, is demonocracy. All right. It's not democracy, it's demonocracy. All right. Again, we just spoke on the past events. All right. The wars and rumors of wars. But the end is not yet. All right. We know that he has an ultimate plan, and that's to issue out a device and put it in to the people. This is the book of 2 Corinthians chapter 2 and verse 11. It says, lest Satan should get an advantage of us, for we are not ignorant of his devices, man. His devices is the media, television, where he can tell his vision, all right? He can try to rewrite history, erase history, manipulate, you know, the truth. And even better, he has the internet, the World Wide Web, the unicorn, as the scripture refers to it as. Right? Right? So again, we're not ignorant of his devices, man. So he can't take advantage of those who's dwelling in the spirit of truth and the wisdom and knowledge of Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahweh Shai, man. Okay? Again, he's trying to put the people in that sheed herd-like mentality so he can give an excuse to issue the Mach B. This is Revelation chapter 13 and verse 15. And 15 is a major point. It says, and he had power to give life unto the image of the beast, right? That the image of the beast should both speak, right? All right. So this is about him giving life to this image of the beast to make the people dependent on it. Just like the people are, and 2/3 of our people are dependent on his system, on his rat race, right? It's a known photo. It's a known saying too, that they say if the people would just stand up, right? It has like the whole world is underneath the table, and then the elites, the Rothschilds, they playing like chess on top of the table. If the whole world just stand up, the game would be over, right? Or the whole world just wake up, the game would be over, all right? But that's not how the Lord set it up, all right? This just shows the power and the will of the Heavenly Father, man. As he controls the hearts of man, he controls the hearts of these rulers, these kings, these oligarchs, right? Daniel 4 and 17, all right? The Lord ruleth in the kingdom of men. He give it to whoever so he will, all right? The Lord is always in the midst. This is Daniel 4 and verse 17. This matter is by the decree of the watchers and the demand by the word of the holy ones, to the intent that the living may know that the Most High ruleth in the kingdom of men, right? That the living may know, all human, mankind, we all human, right? That's what the heathen like to express, you know, especially in the matrix. You go out here in the matrix on your jobs, they want to express how everybody is the same. We're not the same, right? That's that guilt, or they overcompensate, you know, and be extra nice and, you know, naive, thinking you're going to be naive and nice with them. You know, it's okay to be kind, but I'm not going to be naive, all right? professional, go about my business and respect everybody, but it's a judgment written for you. And it's a judgment even written for 2/3 of our people, all right? Truth is truth, man. It is what it is. All right, so of all humankind, that the living, if you living, is for you to know that the Most High ruleth in the kingdom of men, right? We're still in 17. And give it to whomsoever he will, and set up over it the bases of men. All right? So that's what the Lord was warning. Even about the time in ancient Babylon, he was warning them then that he ruled, he is in the midst. So right now in this modern day Babylon, all right, mystery Babylon, the daughter of Babylon, right, that great city, it's the same ordeal, all right? The Lord is in the midst. He have his hand in it. He ruleth in the kingdom of men. So just going back to Revelation 13, all right, he controls the hearts of these kings. All right, so he give life to the image, all right, and that's ultimately his agenda. All right, he only got a tight window to fulfill it, man. He knows he has a short time pertaining to Revelation chapter 12, verse 12. But it's Revelation chapter 13, verse 15. And he had power to give life unto the image of the beast, that the image of the beast should both speak and cause that as many as would not worship the image, right, who not go bow down to his system, because that's ultimately what the image represent, of the beast should be killed, right? All right, so that system of the beast, man. All right, we spoke on the beast in the previous lesson, the 7 heads and 10 horns, right? The NATO and the EU, the NATO fraction. Ultimately, you look at Pharaoh of this place, the president of this modern day Egypt, 47. All right, pretty much kidnapping a ruler of another continent, nation. You know, that's craziness. Here in 2026 AD. That's craziness that this devil is still poking his chest out. All right. He's still moving as the hammer, but the scriptures speak on how the hammer is now broken. All right. But again, the scripture also say what? A haughty spirit comes before a fall. Some Proverbs. This is the book of Proverbs, chapter 16 and verse 'I'll start at 16, all right? Because look at the your puppets, your Nicki Minaj, all right? Scared for her life over there trying to drop a dime on Esau, all right? Husband, or what is it? Yeah, it was her husband in prison for like a child crime, roughly paraphrasing, if I'm not mistaken, allegedly. All right. All type of stuff. These people sell their soul for fame and riches. All right. All to play a dangerous game that the Lord ain't down with, that the Lord's he's go deal with them. And thou join hand in hand, the wicked not going unpunished, man. So 2/3 of our people who sold out, who worship this system, who bow down to the image already without a device, they go be done. They go be done away with. All right. They're going to have to be born again and enter into the kingdom because they're gone. Their conscience is seared. Their spiritual antenna, that silver cord, it been loose. It wasn't connected from the womb. All right. But this Proverbs 16 and 16, how much better, and the point is in 18, but it's here, how much better is it to get wisdom than gold, right? And that's why we go through the straits and this affliction, all right, to ultimately be a show our appreciation of receiving this truth, all right? And that's what we signed up to, ultimately hoping that we receive the prize of enduring in this truth, which is salvation, all right? The mark of the Wa, Ezekiel 9:4, meaning exempt. We want to be exempt from the judgment that's coming upon this place and upon the people. This Proverbs 16 and 16, how much better is it to get wisdom than gold, right? And to get understanding rather to be chosen than silver, right? The highway of the upright is to depart from evil. He that keepeth his way preserveth his soul, right? And that's all we trying to do, man. Keep our way so we can preserve our soul. And once we teaching, charity, it covers a multitude of sins. All right. And not only just to save ourselves, but hope to save our households. Right. But it's here in verse 18. Here's the point. Pride goeth before destruction. Right. This devil's still moving like he's the hammer of the earth. He's still taking lands and naming them after himself. Right. Psalms 49 and 11, his inward thought is that his houses go continue forever, man. They take lands and name it after themselves. He's going to take over Venezuela. I'm going to take over Cuba now. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do that, right? It shows he's scared, too. It's this guilt complex, all right? Again, it's going to be the Cuban Missile Crisis all over again. Again, Cuba is aligned just like Venezuela with Russia. And Russia is just sitting there quietly watching the orange man, the red Hebrew Edomite, do his thing. All right. And that's what's going to lead to Ezekiel 38 and the Lord putting that evil thought in his mind. All right. Or Trump ended up going into Iran, and that's going to be his last stop. OK. So, again, pride goeth before destruction and a haughty spirit before a fall. Better is it to be of a humble spirit with the lowly than to divide the spoil with the proud. Right. And now Nicki Minaj up there looking crazy, into the shenanigans and the politics of Esau because she has to play the game to get the bag. Right. So, again, it's all about that propaganda. Esau's pushing his narrative, ultimately to lead with the mandate of this RFID CHIP. And I won't stop. I can read it through. And Yahweh Tazah, this lesson was edifying. It's Revelation chapter 13 and verse 15. And he had power to give life unto the image, right? The system of the beast, right? And they're going into their fourth industrial revolution, their new world order, their global reset. That's what the beast agenda is. That's where they're using the spearhead of NATO and the EU, which is America, the whore, to continue to grape, rob, and unalive, man. In this instance, it was rob and kidnapping. Whatever the hell else going on, you feel me? And cause that as many as would not worship the image of the beast should be killed, right, unalive. And he caused of all, both small and great, rich and poor, free and bond. That's everybody. Whether you small, great in society, consider yourself as such, or in the middle, rich or poor, middle class, high class, poverty, free man, or a bond man. Don't let you be a bond man where you don't have much of rights. You're an indentured slave in the prison industrial complex. They liable to do whatever the heck they want to do with you. You have to be willing to be unalived in there, right? To receive a mark in their right hand or in their foreheads, right? And we know they have people like Elon Musk, Mark Zuckerberg, with Neuralink and these devices. These things are coming to pass. All right. Again, the spirit of the Lord is the spirit of prophecy. All right. So they're not telling you prophecy. Again, pro is before and psi is to speak or cry out, right? Or cry, right? We're speaking and crying out before it happens. Warning, giving a warning, that proper vibration, that proper sounding of the alarm to the people, to who's supposed to be saved, right? Who's going to catch this vibration, all right? And it's Revelations 13 and 17, and that no man might buy or sell save he that had the mark or the name of the beast or the number of his name, right? Here is wisdom. Let him that have understanding count the number of the beast, for it is the number of a man, and his number is 666. All right, we did lessons on that in the past. All right, probably could do it again, just to stay fresh. That's 666 goes in the Greek. It's translated shy, sty, stigma, roughly paraphrasing. All right. Also, it ties into the universal product code, Esau's system on how he barcodes and tags everything, because everything is about $1 to Esau. Again, his God is gold, oil, and dollars. He puts a price tag on everything, even the free stuff that we're supposed to go out into the wilderness and get, like fruit, vegetables, right? pulse, things of that nature that's supposed to be free. He hoards it up, poisons it, allegedly, right? High fructose corn syrup, all these different types of acids, so on and so forth. Red dye 40, blue 20, whatever, so on and so forth. Coloring, unnatural coloring, GMOs. All right, this is what Esau has brought to this place, man. All right, he's came to seek, unalive and destroy, and that's what he's doing. But fear mongering, the propaganda, don't get caught up in it. Again, that's 600-3-6. It went to a universal product code. All right, that's the barcode. That's ultimately translating to a QR code, which the QR code is simultaneously go coincide with the RFID CHIP. All right, everything is translating in over into the new system. All right, so you'll go from a barcode to a QR code because that's what this new system is requiring. The QR code takes you directly to wherever it is it need to take you to. Right? So on and so forth. And the universal product code was actually made by a Teemanite when you go into it. All right? Which is the thinking hats, the scientists of Esau. All right? And you have what Trump talking about taking over. That's the straits over there, the main trading route, right? There's a lot of things going on pertaining to prophecy. So just stay tuned. Shalom, Habathan, DTA. Until the next one.